Good evening, everybody. Welcome back to the Aviation RC Noob Podcast. My name is Joe.
And I'm Matt.
And today we're sitting on Matt's back porch, recording on some lapel mics that I got way back. We're going to give this a try and see how it goes. So if you hear background noise and such, forgive us.
It is my neighbor's giant air conditioning unit.
It is noisy when it gets going.
Yeah, it's actually cooling a whole server room, I think.
A whole server room?
Yeah, that's a connection for AT&T. It's all their connections for their.
Oh, so it's not your neighbor. It's
I mean, technically, they're right there. They're my neighbor. And trust me, I have to deal with it when I'm out here on the porch. It's like when it turns off, it's all of a sudden like, oh, that noise isn't in my brain anymore. This is great.
It's quiet out here.
It's much better out here. It was good before, but now, so much better.
Yeah, because it kind of falls into this background droning.
Yeah.
But then it shuts off and there's just this absence of sound. You're like, ooh.
Right.
That's nice.
Yeah, except for the people driving down the street.
Yeah.
Which, on occasion, is like that giant truck on the way home, where it's like, let's make things louder and look stupid.
Yeah.
The Fayetteville squat, I think is what it's called.
No, it's
Look it up. Look it up.
It's called the Carolina squat.
Carolina squat.
Because it's happening in North and
South. You mean
South.
it went everywhere? Jeez.
It's North and South Carolina. My neighbor's kid has it.
Oh, for the love of God.
Yeah, so this guy blasted past us on the way back from the flying field. Well, we're just all over the place at the moment, but we're on the way back from the flying field, and this guy with the Carolina squat, he's in this, like...
Which is, by the way, where the back end is lowered and the front end is raised.
Jacked up, yeah.
So
which
looks like it's...
We're pushing legislation to get that taken care of, because it's not safe. It's dumb, and it's not safe.
Yeah.
Kids don't need to be driving that way. And then he basically had glass tip cherry bombs on his exhaust.
Oh, I didn't even see that.
No, that's the super loud. Glass tip cherry bombs, were a thing, for crazy sound. So
it's so ridiculous.
All right, so let's loop back to the beginning, which is I'm up here at Matt's place, just chilling. I came in last night, so Friday.
Yeah.
And we've been working on the Giant Wonder, getting it finished up today, or mostly to a finished state.
Yeah. I mean, it's finished. It
could go.
We are going to make it pretty. Mm-hmm. But the plane construction is complete. It's probably the best way to put that.
Yeah. So, you were really doing that today.
Yeah. I knew it needed the things. Like, the motor needed to be put on the firewalls. That's what I started today doing. Mm-hmm. And once that was in, I started, okay, I forgot. There's a whole center section in between the wings that needs to be addressed. I need a cover for that or something.
Right.
So I needed to figure that out, and then we needed to put the ESC wires through and figure out where the center of gravity was going to be. There it is.
Yeah, that wasn't awful for long.
No, it isn't. It isn't. Again, it's the servers for the internet for AT&T or something.
Yeah.
It makes sense. I'm tempted to build a baffle box, so it's a heck of a lot quieter.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's neither here nor there. But yeah, so we were putting that together. I was doing the finishing touches on that, and trying to do the last little, like, how are we going to tackle this one little thing? But I'm really pleased after taking apart the previous weekend and putting together, like, taking it apart and putting it back together, the things we did last weekend. I'm really pleased with how they turned out, because it made assembly very quick.
Yes.
And really quick. And it does help to have hands. It does really help to have hands. I almost want to put kickstands on the wings, on the wingtips, so that it's like just kickstand, and then I can just, from the fuse, kind of pull the wing on, and I can do it with one person, but I mean, but yeah, it was really...
Well, you almost need two to help with alignment and like I need you to go this way, and to
It helps a lot. So,
Yeah.
look, I'm really pleased with how it finished up.
you did a fantastic job, man.
Well, thanks.
Um,
I'm really pleased.
yeah,
I'm proud of it.
because you came down to my place last weekend and
Filled up your entire dining room. So if you don't know, it's a 300% Noob Wonder. So it's the foam Wonder designed by Spons, Dan Spon holes, and it's the Noob variant, which we collaborated with him and Tony Lewis to come up kind of with the final product, as it were. And it incorporates stuff from our logo, and when we had him on the show, we just talked about coming up with this design, so it was really cool. But 300%, if you don't know, is 9.5 feet wingspan.
it's sizable.
It has like 20 square foot of wing, and it weighs about 10 pounds. I think when it all came down to it, it's not super accurate. It's done with like a regular scale, but it ended up being about 10 pounds when it was all said and done.
Which is not heavy.
Not for 20 square feet of wing.
No. It's not heavy. I mean, you pick it up and you're like, that's a chonky boy, but at the same time, for the size, you're just like, yeah, that's light.
Yeah, the wing is a 2 foot deep wing by 9.5 feet from tip to tip.
So you were spending a lot of time doing that, because last weekend you came down to my place and we did some work on it on the Sunday, because you didn't come down till Sunday.
Yeah.
And
It
then
was the long weekend, so we got to spend some time Monday doing it.
right. Well, that was the plan, and then I was on call, which is why I was even in town, and I got called early that morning and had to go.
I guess
So-
it really didn't work on, but we did do a lot of work on it the day before. It was good.
We did, and so we decided I'd come up this weekend and we would really buckle down and get it done. And you had me cutting out parts that you had outlined for the second one that we'll build, or
Right.
that you'll build, but we'll build tomorrow.
Right. Once I knew we were very likely to finish up the first one and probably maiden it this weekend, like we did. I figured, and I knew you were going to be here the weekend. So I'm like, well, you know what? I need help cutting this stuff out because there's a lot of it.
It's a lot of stuff.
And so I spent some time after work yesterday putting the wing skin panels together, which is 5 sheets of foam board taped and glued together. And then the fuse, which is 2 long ways, and that's kind of contoured and shaped. And then there's another, the spars are 2 full sheets, each cut in half long ways. And so each one of those is formed into a U-shaped box. And so that's 2 like 5 foot spars sticking out, 60 inches.
And then the accordion baffle thing you got
And then
going on
there's, I
inside.
call it the trussing.
Trussing.
So if you look at a bridge, a truss bridge, they have all those diagonals, right? And so that's all that is. And what that does is it takes the loading of the wing itself and share it across the rest of the wing. Basically, it distributes it down the way.
But it also gave you a convenient way to do your carbon fiber rod.
It gave me a convenient place to insert and glue the metal tube, which is the housing, and so it's partly a spar strengthener. Right, so that main U-shaped box spar gets strengthened by the metal tube for the first 4 feet or so.
Yeah.
But inside that, in the middle 2 feet, the middle 3 feet, so on each wing it's about 1.5 feet, there's a carbon fiber that shaft that it's 20 millimeters. So that's exactly the interior diameter of these metal shafted handles for a broom. And it's from a dollar store. So it's not like it's super strong, it's not super whatever, but it's just like an aluminum handle.
Yeah,
You
talk
buy
about
for-
the aluminum handle.
for $1.25, like sweet. So this carbon fiber just slides right in, and it's tight. Like it slides in and out pretty easily, but there's no play. So
No.
which is wonderful. That's perfect. So you got the center, it's got the carbon fiber and the steel and the truss and the box and the wing skin, right? And as you go out, you start losing parts of those elements. By the time you're at the wing, you just have the box bar with the truss, which you don't even need. So I mean, really, technically, this plane could probably go almost another 10 feet. I'm guessing.
Yeah, and on some no crazier than it flies. You could build it bigger, but even at the current size, if we just made it solid like you would do a normal size Wonder, you almost wouldn't need all that.
No. No, I mean, it's really, and it's designed so that it can be broken down into multiple, like, 5 foot long pieces. Mm-hmm. No more, thanks.
Yeah, so we can load it up.
So we load it into the back of a minivan. A bunch of them, along with all the planes we want and our gear. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's going to be a full minivan. Again.
It's going to be a good time.
Yeah, I'm bummed that we can't shove Zodiac in there. In that little side seat, and he's kind of crammed in the thing like, oh, I've got plenty of space, it's good. I'm going to miss that for sure. He said he could make it, so I'm bummed, but they're in spirit for sure.
Yeah.
He's been sending me a bunch of encouraging, like, wow, like, holy cow, I can't believe how well that's turning out. So, anyway, so we finished that up today, and one of the listeners lives really close, like, and we met him at Flight Fest. He's a great guy. We all became pretty good friends.
We can call him out.
Mike, Yankee 2003. So
Yeah.
he lives like 40 minutes across state. Like, he doesn't live far at all.
You said it was like an hour and a half from his place to here?
Is that what he said? I thought he told me 40 minutes, so I was like, okay, well, great.
No, it's like an hour and a half.
Okay, maybe that's his flying field is closer. But either way, he's not far. And we talked to him kind of leading up to this weekend. He was thinking about it, and you pestered him today, this morning. Like, come on, man.
Like, you're coming, right?
Yeah, this is gonna be like, it's happening, man. We're gonna do it, I think. And he's like, and he confessed. He's like, boy, I hope you're not finishing this up on my behalf.
Yeah, because he got here.
It, you know.
He got here, and you and I was just kind of in the sidelines watching and trying to be assisting where I could, but
Right.
like you had the plane on the floor, put it together, the guts were out trying to get everything finalized.
Because there's no room on the dining room table. There's so many. We have like a little bit of a build surface that we're doing stuff on, and there's like small heaps of plane parts that we're gonna work on today.
either end of the table with the
table.
center open so that I could do some work.
Right, and it's like the problem with that is I can't drop a 10-foot plane in the middle of that and just expect everything to be cool. There's not enough room in any given room of a typical house where a 10-foot plane assembled
Is going to hang out easily.
Comfortably, where there's enough space to maneuver around it. Nobody's going to trip on it. And so, but basically, we were working on it where it was in my vestibule hallway and entryway, because that's as long as the one room. And it just sort of had it sit there while we were doing all our other stuff. But, yeah.
Okay, I couldn't see it anymore. You had it down here to begin.
No, it's okay.
I guess you moved it up.
Yeah, a little bit.
Okay.
But yeah, it's, we're doing that stuff. And that's when he kind of came in, and I'm trying to figure out how am I going to put this battery in there. Like, where's my Velcro? Like, but we're in the final stages, and I was coming up with that weird kind of in between the wing cover.
Yeah. Which worked out well, by the way.
Yeah, it did. Yeah, I'm pretty pleased with that. That was kind of like, I hope this works. And I think there's one thing I can do to make it a little bit better. So I'll try it.
Good. I'll get version 2, and it'll be awesome.
Well, I'm going to do it to version 1 too. It's basically a thing where you kind of clamp it over top of the spar.
Oh, okay.
Put it down and clamp it over top, but you can pull it off. And then the friction of where it kind of seats underneath the back and front of the fuse and keep it snug. I'm surprised it didn't come off.
I mean, it was taped down.
Oh, that's right. We taped it down. Right. So that's our solution. So the thing with the wings is they move in and out pretty easily. So if there was a little bit of side movement, they might have come out from the fuse and then tilted, because the fuse is what keeps them aligned.
Yeah, and they're only sitting on like
Half an inch.
half an inch. Yeah.
If that. And there's nothing kind of keeping them together, so we're like, we're going to have to tape them. We're going to have to tape the wings together across this.
Yeah, it's not ideal. Something else had to be figured out, but so we can get this thing in the air today.
Right, but the big thing is the spar supports are plywood trapezoids or triangles with holes in the top, and those are transferring the weight of the wing and the thrust of the motor to each other.
Right.
Right. So that is taking and especially during combat, that's going to be possibly a pretty good load. So I wanted a lot of surface area to attach to the core of the fuse and kind of connect the two solidly. So I made these big panels, and they sit on the inner core edges, and they're glued like crazy. So that way there's enough there, you know.
You built that thing solid, like all around.
Thanks to Dan for his inspiration, because he built his little version just about as strong.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm like, that's a smart idea. We should probably mimic that. It's the thing I like about the plane. So why not make sure we continue that? You know. So anyway, yeah. So we did that, and try to keep it light. Right. I think my initial prediction was it was going to be about 8 pounds.
I don't remember.
Maybe 8.5 or something like that. I think it ended up coming out to be. It's tough how accurate it really is, but I think it's about 10 pounds.
I mean, to be fair, you had a bathroom scale with a 5-gallon Lowe's bucket on it, and then the Wonder on top of that.
Right. So the bucket probably weighs like 1/4 of a pound or 1/10 of a pound, and
Bucket weighs more than that.
I don't know. Not worried about it. When I put it on, the scale didn't really move, so I was like, well, it's probably not even really counting much.
Yeah.
But so that tells you how accurate the scale is. But no, I mean, so my original plan, I added an extra back plate to the horizontal stabilizer. There's originally one. I added a little bit of carbon fiber in there. There were more wooden pieces, and they were a little bit bigger than I originally thought they were going to be. So there were some parts in there that I didn't anticipate. And we needed a 1300 6-cell for ballast in the nose.
Yeah, I remember you sticking that in there.
That's an extra 1/2 pound right there. I'm pretty certain.
So let's advance a bit, and then we can, I guess, later loop back to some of the nitty-gritty details. We get out to the field. Mike's with us.
Yep.
He brought his Wonder.
Right, and don't forget, Amy's with us the whole day. She's been helping out and trying to get this and that. I mean, she had a busy day today. She had to do some work. But the night before, she was also helping out with a couple different things too. So she was there with her family. Yeah, we went out like a big caravan.
Yeah.
We loaded all up and it's, okay, I'll lead, and want all my ducklings in a row. Off we went.
Got out there, put it together, and then
There was nobody out there.
Nobody.
I don't know what's wrong with my club.
It is a beautiful day out there.
I love my club members, but I don't understand their proclivity for Sunday mornings between 11 and 3, and that's it. And maybe after work, maybe, if it's nice.
I don't know.
But it was a beautiful Sunday. I mean, it was a steady, when we got there.
Yeah, it wasn't gusty, it was just
steady
windy.
breeze.
Yeah.
And it wasn't like a light breeze, it was a steady breeze. But it was coming around dusk, so the wind started to die down a little bit, and by the time we had everything ready, it was still steady, and it was still there, but it wasn't terrible. But there's nobody there. We had the whole field to ourselves.
Which was nice.
It was nice. It was kind of refreshing. But
Yep.
I'm always flabbergasted every time I go there on a beautiful day, like a beautiful cloudless day. Just wow, what a day! This is a day for flying.
There's nobody out there.
There's nobody out there except me. Anyway, but
So we get the Giant put together. Mike brought his Wonder. You had yours. I had mine. So we lay the Wonders out there. We photo op it,
Yeah.
and then glide test.
So we decided You know, I want to do a glide test.
Yeah, that's what we were debating is, do we want to glide test it or do we want to just send it?
Right, because we kind of know, we are like, no, it's... But we debated, each of us had a different location for where we thought the CG was definitely at.
Right.
Right? Every one of our noobs had like a little bit different spot. And it's pretty forgiving, so it's a pretty wide window. It flies well enough. No matter which one of the spots, if we had picked it, I think we would have been okay. But the fact that there was variation at all, I was like, maybe we just should test this.
Mike and I are over here like, just send it.
Right. But if you remember, I made a really short the first time I built the Wonder, like the original Wonder, I sent it. And I sent it with confidence.
Yeah.
And it went immediately into the dirt. And so I made a quick video, and I was like, days like this make me look quick.
Language, sir.
Yeah, okay. Good. Maybe just want to, maybe it's time to hang up.
You're
the
gonna.
transmit.
We'll believe it.
Yeah. So I was thinking back to that, and knowing that it's short and it's short coupled. If we don't have it right, it could be really hard to get it to come back in one piece. Mm-hmm. I'm like, all right, let's test it. And like we made some estimates, some educated guesses, because we each have a noob. We've each flown them, so we know where it is. And so we put it in those spots. We added the ballast. Again, that's the 1300 6 cell, which it's got to weigh a pound in itself. And so we tossed that. And as tall a grass as we could find, because there really wasn't as much of it as I was hoping.
Yeah.
And it flew.
Yeah, it was a sight.
Yeah, and I didn't even give it a hard toss. I'll call it like a general baseball practice pass.
Yeah, you just kind of gently sent it, a nice, easy
I wasn't
chuck.
doing some like run up where I'm going as fast as I can and heave ho, and like nope. It was just like, yeah, there it goes.
Insert the video of Jesse launching the SR-72.
Oh my God, thank you, Jesse. Oh man, exactly. And it went as long as it kept up the speed, it was just kind of hovering level. And then as the speed slowed, it started to nose down, which is exactly what I expected, exactly what I wanted. I'm like, sweet, we've got it nailed down. Before we go too far, which reminds me, we need to mark it on, like with a hole or something. We need to mark where the CG is on that plane, so we don't have to worry about it later. I mean, I think it's not gonna be a big problem. There's only so many places you can put the battery, and there's definitely only so much place you can put the ballast. So I'm going to take out the ballast, see how much that weighs, put that same weight in the sides between the outside fuse and the inside fuse box.
Okay.
I'm going to put that weight there. That way I don't have to add any weight. We don't have to have a battery sloshing around, possibly. And just put the big one in. Yeah, so that flew really well. And I think we were all like, yes, this is going to be great. I know I was feeling that way.
Yeah, it was exciting to watch. I mean, it was good. And then, all right, let's wind it, like rev her up and send her.
Right.
And I hand launched it for you.
Yep.
Which Mike's a champ. So Mike was on the wingtip helping to keep it balanced while I had it over my head. And the plan was, okay, Mike can let go and then I'll have it.
Yeah.
Once you rev up, I can say, I got it, he'll let go. And, he's there to help me balance it until I'm ready to go and then I can send it. But when you were walking back, this is a conversation you didn't get to hear. When you were walking back, I was standing under the noob. I had it above my head. He was reaching up, supporting the wing. And, he was, this is going to be awesome. This is going to be awesome. And I said, do you want to hand launch it? And he's, no. I said, do you want to launch it? He's like, yeah, I mean, kind of, but no, this is for you guys. And like, deep inside, he was like, I want to launch this thing.
I know. And I think either of us were like, no, then I could be there and I could, like, either one.
Yeah, but no, he ended up, saying, nah, go ahead and do it, Joe. But inside, he was like, oh, man, like, yeah. But you revved up and just a gentle send.
Yeah, you don't need a whole lot to get it moving, to get it started.
And she don't fly fast.
Not at first. And it can go fast, but it's one of those things that's really lightly loaded as far as the weight to square footage of wing. When you look at the wing loading ratio, it's way below a glider.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, geez, we're never going to bring this thing down.
It was
boy.
up there.
Right. So I knew it wasn't good. And that's part of why I didn't toss it crazy hard. I knew it didn't need a ton of speed to get the lift it's going to need. You know, like I knew it would be okay. So, yeah, I put it up to, I think I put it up to 75% throttle. Because that's
just a good takeoff speed,
It's
yeah.
usually a good takeoff speed. If you give it a halfway decent huck, we should be in great shape, And, I just said, okay, go. And when I was worried, so the reason why I suggested, I think I mentioned, one, I wanted Mike to be part of the launch, right? Like, that's why I wanted him to, have, but I was also worried, the wind was pretty strong, and if a gust came
At the wrong moment.
like, it was going to be bad. So I'm like, if somebody's on the wingtip, at least they could stop the gust from taking it from your hand.
Yeah.
And then we shortened the window of vulnerability of a big gust making a mess. Like, and it obviously didn't happen. Like, it was pretty constant wind, so it was pretty good.
You blew my hat off, by the way.
I did, yeah. When I revved up to 75%, your hat comes up. I'm like, oh, that's got some pull.
I was like, okay, this has some power behind it.
No, and thank you again. Big thanks to Muttley. Without those motors, I mean, I had a motor set aside that would have done about the same thing, but like those motors are great.
Yeah.
They're well-built motors, and we made the motor mounts, like everything feels so solid on that thing. I'm really pleased with them, and they pull, I think, 8 pounds of thrust, and I don't think they were lying. I think it might actually pull a little bit more, but they definitely don't pull the 10 that the plane weighs.
Right.
Because as we started to get, so it came out of the hands. Let's go a little further.
Yeah, let's talk about the flight.
It came out of the hands, and it just left pretty as you please at like a brisk walk, kind of jog pace, maybe. Mm-hmm. And then it started to kind of lift and gain a little bit more speed and lift some more, and and then there was I don't even know how much trim I needed. I think I needed one trim of aileron, because I did make an adjustment in the field because I knew the one was up.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's not right. It should be at least level. So I twist them so they were level. And then, I think I needed one tip of left. And then I don't even know what the elevator turned out to be, because I trimmed a bunch one way and then I trimmed a couple back. And that could be the battery in the front shifted a bit. I don't even know. Not the battery we put in, like the main battery.
No, but the ballast battery.
I think had a little bit of room to shift around. I was like, oh, well, anyway. But, so tossed it up, and it flew, and with a little bit of trim later, and I got up to an accident high, or I think 2 accidents high pretty quickly. And then I was able to kind of trim it out well without worrying. And then, I tried to maneuver. I was like, okay. And then there went one accident. And so you're like, hey, watch out. You just ate up an accident. That's the only one you got. Don't try anything.
Yeah, because you pretty quickly went into aileron rolls and...
Yeah, I wanted to see how responsive it was. And it was, I've used the term lumbering.
Yeah.
And it's because it... Now, we're using servos that were, I think, originally set to, they're set to go in RC cars, like 10th scale cars, I think. So they're not designed to be crazy fast. They're designed to be torquey solid, which is what I wanted.
That's what we need.
I wanted to make sure that those
no 9-gram servo was going to do this.
I do not want that thing to come in a dive from up high and start gaining speed and us not be able to pull out of that, right? And I did a couple maneuvers, and it went, I was worried that tail was going to come off. I need to put I'll call it a safety lock on it.
Okay.
It's going to be a simple thing where basically when you push it in all the way, there should be a hole that lines up with that front catch wall.
Oh, is that
way
hot?
it can't come back until you remove the little pins.
I thought you had something to keep the tail from backing out.
We used tape.
I thought
we taped it to the wing, and that didn't hold well.
Well, see, okay, so I thought the tape we just did to keep the tail from fluttering.
That's part of what it was for, but I also recognized it was also keeping it from shifting backward. But it was sturdy. Like, it didn't feel like, once I put it into place, it wasn't moving back and forth. There wasn't any play. Like, I knew it would, and it took some effort to get in there. It was going to take some effort to get out, and it did. So I knew, like, we're probably safe with the tail. So, but that's the thing I'm going to do to part 2, and I'm also going to update part 1 to have that little, almost like a cotter pin.
Right.
Something real small to make sure it doesn't back out real quick.
That should be easy enough adjustment.
Yeah, it'll probably be even like a little metal pin with a magnet underneath.
Mm-hmm.
That way it just sits there and it stays there, and you just pry it up. Which easy enough. So went. I'm trying to think what it. Once I kind of leveled it out, I started doing a couple maneuvers to see how, because the little ones, they're quick, they're agile.
They are.
They're very agile, and they can go from, because we talk about how they're really easy. They're easy if you're comfortable with things that are agile.
Yeah.
Because if you're not, they're trouble. Anyway, but I was comfortable with it, so it's like, okay, let's see how quick the turns are, because I want to know how fast my response is going to be. Like, if I'm getting into trouble, I want to know how quick is this thing going to respond. The elevator was pretty responsive. The ailerons are slower, and like I said, that's where it kind of lumbering.
Yeah.
Where it took a moment to really get into the turn, and it took a moment to kind of make sure it's out of the turn, but they were solid. At no point did I feel like it was losing, it was torquing out, where there's so much force on the surfaces that the servos couldn't keep up. There was no problems there. Mudley sent 3 servos along. Those are going to go in number 2. They're the same size, but I think they're made of aluminum gears and not steel. Like, the car ones are made of steel gears, which means they're really heavy comparatively. Right. But otherwise, they should be the same size and have the same.
Well, I'll save some tail weight.
It'll save some, yeah.
Okay,
it'll save some tail weight. It'll help a lot.
Okay.
Because even the servos that are in the wing are behind the CG.
Yeah.
All of that, anything behind the CG counts. Now, if we wanted to lighten up the one so we can get rid of the ballast weight, I could start put lightning holes in the other surfaces so that the back half of the plane is light, and then we cover it with a doculam or whatever covering we want to put on there. So, I mean, there's ways to lighten it up, but
I mean, it's plenty light.
It doesn't need it.
It flew great, and you flew a few laps.
Yeah, got a few laps, knew it felt well, and I'm like, okay, let me do a roll, and let me do a loop and see how that responds. Like, okay, that's how that goes. Definitely don't have as much power as we have weight, so you have to kind of work your way into a loop. You know, you can't just be coming up at a 45-degree angle and start looping. Like, no, you got to get down and get some speed and then kind of move yourself into a loop. Like,
yeah.
You have to manage your power a little bit, because I tried to do straight vertical, and it went okay for a little bit, and then it just didn't make it.
That explains the hammerhead-like thing I saw.
Yeah, I did a couple hammerheads, and one of them was for the hammerhead, just because. The other one was because I wanted to see how vertical we could get it, right? Like,
right.
Again, testing the boundaries. And then I also went up and just double checked the trim. I'm like, well, let's see how she stalls. I know how the original Wonder stalls, which is almost non-existent, real gentle. So I pulled back on the stick. You know, I turned off the motor, I pulled back on the sticks, and they had the same kind of stall, really.
Yeah, you almost wouldn't have known she stalled.
Yeah. I mean, it's there. I'm like, okay. And I'm like, well, let me see if the trims are set the way they're supposed to. And I'm like, I set the throttle to, I think, 60%.
Yeah, I remember at one point you were like, look, no hands.
And then I put my hands off. I'm like, well, this thing's... And then I think I cut the throttle, and I just let my hands off. It was just
gliding
along, all gentle-like. I'm like, well, that's excellent. Because that means if something goes wrong, I can at least glide it to the ground as long as the servos are powered.
Mm-hmm.
So, and it came into play later for a different reason. Anyway, did a couple more loops, and then I did some combat maneuvers because I want to see how agile it is. And then your guys, whoa, guys, like, maybe you ought to bring it down. I'm like, okay. But I mean, at that point, I was like 2 accidents. I was pretty high up. I knew if something, if it wasn't going to handle it, or if it was like pushing its luck on some of those maneuvers. But nope, it handled it just like the originals. So we're in great shape to have that be a combat plane later. But I know if it's in combat,
It's going to get called out.
well, of course it's going to get called. That'd be the whole point of putting it into combat, really. But I'm certain it's going to get hit. And there's some people who are just so excited to find like, all we got to do is we're going to ruin the motor, and you're like, why would you want to ruin my motor? Like, to have strings and anchors and stuff so they get tied up in the motor.
Is that still a thing?
Yeah, they try. Whatever. But we'll see how that goes. This will be interesting. Yeah, and then I did, I think, one last kind of low lap, and I brought it in. And it was easy to fly low. There's no big deals. Honestly, the hardest thing is to get it to the ground.
Yeah.
It just wants to float, which I kind of expected. Again, doing the wing loading, I knew it was like, oh, it's going to be a floater. But I mean, you almost have to nose it down to get it to fly low enough to skid along the ground. And so I managed to get a pretty decent landing, a little bit further down the field, because again, it was floating further than I wanted. I'm like, okay, cool, that worked. And then we rejoiced for a minute or two.
Yeah.
I'm like, Joe,
There was high fives to be had.
you need to fly this. Like, you need to fly this. And you're like, oh, I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm like, no, it's a wonder. Like, you can fly this. It's the same plane. It's big, and it doesn't handle exactly the same, but it's the same plane. Like, it has a lot of the same tendencies that are good. Like, go fly it. And you're like, yeah, oh, okay.
All right, let's do it.
Yeah. So then you got your chance, and I got to send it. And Mike was standing next to you, if I recall right. Mm-hmm. And so it was like up and away. And we have a good video of that. I managed to get. I was recording the general.
Yeah, with the camera way back.
Like, I don't know what Amy's, because Amy was doing it. She volunteered. She's like, I will take some good video of it. I'm sure it's really excellent. I still haven't gotten a hand. She's downloading and doing some things to it. But I put mine up just in case. That way we could get some videos out there pretty quickly. And then when we get her videos, we can really splice together something nice. But when we were done, after I launched it, I ran over to the thing. I picked it up. I'm like, I want to catch Joe flying around. And so we got some really good video of that. I was following around. And you took it out for a spin, is what I'll call it. Took it around to drive around the block a couple times. And
that's really all I was looking to do with it.
Yeah. And so, well, tell me about it. How do you characterize that experience?
I didn't think about at the time just how big of a plane it was that I was flying.
No, when it's out there, it looks kind of like.
Well, yeah, it looks just like once it's in the air, it's in the air. But the thought process in my head was more, I really need to not crash Matt's plane like I do every other time I fly one of his planes. So the pressure was on there.
Well, no, last time you flew the Noobs, you did not crash my plane.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
You flew comfortably and you did some things with it. You weren't just like, you had fun.
A lot of it was accidental, but
it's okay.
So yeah, some nice easy laps around the field, and I got the sense of what you meant when you were saying that it was lumbering. Mm-hmm. And so gentle turns, and yeah, she was lofty. She just wanted to stay up there, and I didn't do but like 2 laps. And I said, okay, I want to bring it in for a landing. I got to fly it, and brought it in for a landing. Attempted, and just like you said, could not get it down. It was coming in, but it was still like 15 feet off the ground, trying to get it down, and I just waved that attempt off and powered up and went for another flyby.
I'm near the end of the field. I'm still above my head.
Yeah.
I better not try it.
Well,
I'm going to try it, I'm going to dunk it into the ground.
Let me just bring it back around. So I brought it around again. And the second time, I was still fighting to get her on the ground.
Mm-hmm. But you started earlier, so you had to close her.
Well, I started way earlier by killing the throttle, and that was its own set of problems.
Yeah, so what happened when you killed the throttle? Because you were coming in slow. You kind of came around the final bend. You did your final.
Yeah, I kind of
approach,
cut
and
the
you're
throttle like as I was starting to roll out of that turn.
Because you were, I'm guessing the thought process was, I'm going to make the final turn, I'll get set up, and I'll cut the throttle and just glide it down.
Essentially, I cut the throttle a little early on that because I think I cut it while I was still coming out of the turn. Because that's why she got so whirly bird up there for a minute.
You didn't level it out completely before you said, "Oh, we'll just cut it down and let's go."
And like anything, once you cut the power, you lose authority.
Yeah.
And she got kind of squirrely, and so I had to give her some power to bring her in, and still trying to get it down. And
in my head, I'm like, "Oh no." Oh, he's going to do the hard stall. Because you're like nosed up and like, it's going to just drop straight down. And I'm like, I don't think you're going to get the speed to recover on that. Oh boy. I'm like, as I was saying, throttle up. You had already throttled. You were just throttling up. I'm like, okay, cool. Because you need to keep it at about like 30% throttle maybe. 25. Like you need a little bit of throttle. Just kind of keep it.
Just keep it moving so you got some control.
A little bit. Just some.
And then it was just coast her in, and then cut the throttle about 5 feet off the ground as she continued to glide in. And I should have picked up on how lofty she was. You knew it was coming.
In pass number 2?
Yeah.
Maybe.
Well, you knew what was coming. I appreciate you not letting me figure it out, but I landing flare. Every landing I do, I flare, and
that's awesome when you're coming in. When you're too high in your approach, right? I mean, not to say you don't flare in most planes, right? You definitely have to do a little bit of a flare, but like when you're coming in hot, you come down fast and then you flare, and it does all the slowing, and it's really cool. It looks great. And most planes, RC planes, it's fine, but this is already not wanting to come down. So when you're ready to it's responsive in the elevator still. So when you pull back to flare, it goes, okay, cool, like 30% back up, let's get going. And you're like, and it just started heading back out into the sky again.
Because
like,
I don't do a gentle, I don't do a little, I'm going to do a baby flare. No, I pull back for that flare, and she started taking off again.
And I knew the flare was the right idea, because you were at that spot where it was coming down, and you didn't want to nose in. You wanted to kind of level it back out, have it almost like nose high, just a hair. But
I flared too hard.
Well, when you flared too hard, it started going back up, and you're like, oh no. Because when you came down, you were getting some speed again, and you needed to kind of find that magic spot. And you did the best you could.
Yeah, so it started to take back off, and for whatever reason in my head, it was, she's going up. I need to get her down, so I shoved the nose down.
You also didn't want to stall either.
Yeah, that was the other side of it,
because you knew if you stalled, you'd definitely hit the nose first.
Yeah, and I went to shove that. So my intention was to shove the nose down to get her going back in a downward direction, and then I could mini flare for the actual landing.
Okay.
Yeah, that was the plan.
So how'd that work out?
Well, she nosed down. I just didn't get to carry through the second part of that of pulling back out of the. So she smacked the ground a little bit. But it really didn't do that much damage to it. It just kind of wrinkled the nose a little bit.
You damaged my plane, Joe.
I know. I'm sorry.
You ruined it. It was pristine.
I mean, I have a track record to uphold.
I know you're right. No, it was not a pristine plane. And I talked to you. I said, actually, I was thinking about cutting old called darts. If you are making fabric things, you need to bring in a dress or something. You cut little V's to kind of bring it in and tighten it up. So that's what I wanted to do to the nose, and almost make a couple grooves so it creates like a round section at the end.
Yeah, you wanted to bring the nose in smaller,
the
opening,
smaller.
So that it's going to be. So the fuse kind of comes down into the size roughly of the spinner that you're wanting to put on the prop.
Yeah, I want to put like a 3-inch or 3.5-inch spinner. And it's right now it'll still look good, but the opening is much, a good half-inch bigger all around, I think.
At least,
so,
yeah.
Yeah, so if it just kind of tapers in a little bit more, and the part that's that's been a little bit
Would largely be cut out anyway.
Yeah, almost all that would be cut out. So.
It was minimal damage. It just kind of buckled the edge of the corner a bit.
And I didn't reinforce that part at all.
No.
And I should have, because I know that's where you hit. Like when you come in and you don't land,
you don't grease
flare,
it. Yeah.
Like that's where you're going to hit. I know that. I do that. I did that to mine. Everybody's
done it to mine.
Matter of fact, I think you look at everybody's plane. That's what's going on with it. If they've had to dink it, and they didn't grease that landing. If you're not Mike, he greases all the landings.
Yeah, he does.
Yeah, he's good.
He was out there showing us up.
He was having a good time. It was really cool. And honestly, he brought out a Bronco and his Noob Wonder. Or no, it was his Noob. Was it Noob Wonder? Yeah,
it was a Noob Wonder.
Yeah.
Yeah, he cut the bottom of the wing tips off.
That's right. That's what he had done. He kept that level.
Yep.
So, that was pretty cool.
But yeah, after that flight, then we said, okay, now let's get the other Wonders in the air.
Yep.
And he was actually maidening his Wonder. And so...
Yeah. And I told you, I'm like, well, I'm going to go up last. Yeah, and then once he told us, oh, we're maidening it, we're like, oh, well, geez, man, let's be there with you, and that way you get the maiden right, and it's all good.
Yeah, and we'll hold off launching until you get your stuff right.
Get your set, and if you need a new battery after you've done what you need, like we'll wait.
No, I had batteries for days.
You did, and so he's on your camp with the Velcro. So
yeah, fuzzy fuselage.
Yeah, he's so wrong. You guys are all backwards. Yeah, all wrong. Anyway.
One day you and I will standardize. It'll probably be me adjusting to yours.
Probably at this point.
So that we can share batteries.
I could have looked really hard for the Velcro that's somewhere in that bag.
Yeah, the double-sided thing that was made up so we could share.
So his maiden attempt went pretty well. Like he launched it fine. He trimmed it out pretty well, but he still felt like the CG was off. And that's what I was kind of worried with the big one. Mm-hmm. That's why I wanted to do that glide test. And so after, I think he did a couple laps and a couple of adjustments, and it was flying well enough. But he decided to bring it in, and he's like, the battery's in the wrong place. I got to shift it. And so he shifted it, because you were talking about, like, well, why don't we just change the control arms lengths a little bit, and then that'll
right. So his his ailerons they come off the back of the wing and then they're flat. And what we're finding with these is you almost need them to
almost a little bit up.
Yeah, well, yeah. We're finding that they need to be a little bit lower than you think.
Yeah, a little bit down.
And so, yeah, I think he adjusted his battery placement, but then he also went in and sub-trimmed.
Each of those, because I think
which is why I like it not on a Y.
Yeah, that's fine.
But then I found out with mine when I was trying to sub-trim, because I've got the ore on mine, I can't sub-trim.
Nope, not that way. It doesn't happen that way with the ore. Right?
No.
You have to go in a separate way.
So, but yeah, he got his straightened out, and then it was flying nicer.
Yeah.
And then I launched and went up with him.
Yeah, after that, he's like, I think he did a lap and was like, oh, okay, this is way better. He readjusted the trims again, and then it was flying perfect. And you're like, all right, well, I'm in. And you just launch yours. And
pulls open.
I'm like, all right, well, cool. Then I guess I'm going to go. I don't know how many laps I'll have, though. So I tossed it. Well, I forgot. That's a 3,300 milliamp battery.
You flew for a while.
It went from like a 3. I don't know what it's at now. I got to go check it.
We need to check that, and we need to check your 6 cell.
Yeah, I want to check that.
Because always, and again, I don't think we've ever discussed how to recover.
Oh yeah, I'm glad we did that today too.
Yeah, I don't think we've ever covered how to, and I don't think we should. But your 6 cell had a cell that went too low.
Yeah, it went to like 2.2 or something.
It was like 1.5. You said.
Oh, that's right. Yeah,
because we had to bring it up through.
Yeah.
2 and.
Oh, that sucks.
Yeah, one single cell.
I only used it like twice. I'm like, that doesn't make any sense. So
yeah.
we recovered that, and so we essentially slowly charged.
Nah. I don't want to put that out there as
enough to get it to start balance charging. So
Yeah.
we got to the point where it would balance charge like normal, and it wasn't perfect, but it went well. And so I want to look at that again.
I want to see how that sells. So the cells
see how
got
much we used,
yeah, that's true too.
because we had a 5 amp hour. I didn't feel any sag at all the whole time we were doing that.
Which we didn't fly it crazy long.
No, we flew it for 10 minutes or so.
Yeah, and like the size of that battery and sipping it the way we are.
Oh my god,
Yeah. So
it was flying solid at 30 or 40% throttle, and then we'd half the time have it at 60 because that was more fun. And then occasionally I punched it just to see what it did, and it went pretty fast. It boogied a bit.
So we need to look at your 6 cell and then look at the 4 cell you had in your Wonder, just see how much you drank. But we had all 3 Wonders. So we had a little mini Noob Wonder fly-in at the field, and you're wearing your
Noob Wonder Jumble.
I'll read it for you. Oh, don't pop your mic off. You're wearing, because you got it today, the Flight Fest, or was it today or?
Yeah, Amy got hers. They sent the women's one separate.
I'll give you a second to put that mic back on.
That's all right. We're good.
No, I told you that little thing's broke.
That's not work right. All right, we'll try. Anyway, hopefully that's not a mess.
Yeah, I gotta figure something out for that better. But the shirt is the Flight Fest 2023 Aviation RC New Podcast / Dan Spawnholes / Tony Flying Tiger, I forget his last name, Noob Wonder, Gaggle Waggle, Free Flight, Combat Fly, Extravaganza. And it's got the big logo on the back.
Right, which is wonderful. So it was nice to be able to have our little thing, and you're wearing your Flight Test Volunteer shirt from last year.
Yep.
I think Mike just had I think the upper left corner, and it was that's all it was, like, because I think he lived in Oregon for a long time. So he's the upper left corner.
Oh, okay.
Is what his shirt said. Anyway, but it was good. I know Amy was enjoying spending time. She was helping her kid because it was a constant breeze. So her daughter was trying to fly height, and they were enjoying some of that. When she wasn't helping us video, she was helping with that. So I appreciate her spending some time helping us get some good videos, and it was nice to see the kids trying to enjoy some of the weather.
Yeah.
But it wasn't very long lived, so as with kids at the flying field who aren't occupied, the kids. Well, that's okay.
Yeah.
Mine are no different.
But our flight was a fairly long flight, the 3 of us up there, which I was flying. So I sent it with the Aura 5's launch assist.
Yeah, you too.
Which I recognize. I don't know.
I'm kidding.
Yeah.
I'm kidding.
Oh, yeah.
Seriously, if you can do that and have confidence that your plane is going to get in the air so you can fly and enjoy it, don't listen to me. Just seriously, don't listen. Just enjoy it.
What do you say? Don't listen to me, Crutch. Just do your thing.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, apparently.
That's his new nickname now.
No,
It's call sign. It's Crutch.
For today, Crutch, but no. I will go on the record. I've never really put it out there. My call sign is Goose.
Yeah.
And y'all were like, wait, what? You can't assign it, but that was given to me a long time ago. It is actually a nickname of mine.
No, they do change. You know that, right? Like, if you do something that warrants a new nickname, you can get one. But Goose is fine by me.
Yeah, that's fine.
Anyway.
But
we got time and time again.
yeah, and I was without flight assist. I was just flying, gentle laps for the most part. And you and Mike were cutting up there.
Well, so my new Wonder has got a pretty powerful motor and a pretty aggressive prop on it.
Yeah, I'm flying a 10x4.5.
Right, and was that 3 cell or 4? You have 4 cell.
I was flying 4.
Right, and I don't know what Mike was flying. It sounded like it was a little bit more aggressive prop, but he was doing I think it was a 2812s from Flight Test with CPAC, which worked out pretty good. Yeah, so and I had a pretty wide range, like so I could boogie and catch up to you guys, or do some acrobatic stuff, go vertical, whatever.
Yeah.
But I could also slow down and fly alongside everybody. So we had a couple formation loops.
Yeah, there was one point all 3 of us were flying towards the end of the field together, just almost that tiered, you see them, one and then one backing up, one backing up. Yeah.
That's it.
That
and
was.
We coordinated the turns, so we were all kind of coming around, and then we did that, and then and then we'd break off and do some sort of like aerial nonsense, and then come back for a little bit.
Yep, you come back and try to fly my wing for a little bit, and then Mike would swoop in and try to fly my wing a little bit, and you'd go off and fly with him. And
then sometimes I go the opposite way in the circuit, and I'm like, we're going to crash into each other. I think we wanted to save these for the comments or something. We should probably wait.
Just a couple times you got really close to me. I was starting to worry.
Well, it seemed like it. We have no idea. The depth perception with a cloudless day is almost impossible.
Even with clouds in the air.
That's a good point. No, we had a good time. That was so much fun. Even just the three of us flying the same plane, even though they were decked out with different capabilities as far as the motor systems, like, it was a lot of fun.
It was.
And I think if we had streamers, we probably would have been, we could easily have done a streamer combat and had a lot of fun with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we did that. And there's a lot more juice in that 3300 than I gave it credit for. That was available. So it was fluid for a long while.
Yeah, you flew for a while, and you were gunning it here and whipping around there and going, and then all of a sudden we hear a rap.
That's right. That's what did cut it off for me. And I'm like, uh-oh. And I see the motor hang off the front of the plane. And I'm like, uh-oh. I immediately, whenever I hear something like that, I'm like, quick, cut the throttle. Because whatever's going to happen is going to be bad if the motor's spinning.
Mm-hmm.
And then I, so, okay, no throttle. But the plane's still gliding just fine.
Yeah.
Just chill. Come on in. It's all good. You got full controls. We're good. And I was like, oh, wow.
The motor's hanging off the front.
The motor's hanging off the front. It's all good. I'm like, geez, I better get this down to the ground. And so I did. I brought it down to the ground. I lost, as it got closer to the ground and I was slowing down a little bit, I lost a little bit of control, so I had to kind of ditch it in a manner that wasn't as pretty.
Yeah.
It did make it a little bit behind the flight line near the end. So that was disappointing. I was kind of trying to keep it on the field. But then you guys are like, well, yeah, I guess it's about time. We probably check our batteries.
So I had to bring mine in. I had a battery alarm in it.
Okay.
But I had to bring mine in because I took when I heard the rap. I'll give you a second with your mic.
You're good.
Well, I can't just silence your audio because we're joint.
No, I'll be fine.
So when I heard the rap, whatever sound came off yours, my eyes came off my plane to look at you. And that's when I saw the motor hanging, which had me looking for a few seconds. I was like, okay, that's a thing. And then I had to look back at my plane, and then I was all out of sorts because I was just thinking about the situation with your plane and this visual I had of your motor just hanging off the nose.
Aviate. Communicate. Yeah, order aviate first. Don't look at my plane.
But I had to, because anyway.
What was that noise?
Yeah, that's
your plane blow apart. I want to see that.
That's not good.
No, right?
And so fortunately, I had the Aura 5, which I didn't need to bring it in, but I had been in a zone flying without it, and I focused, and then that just broke my focus, and so I said, you know what, flip the switch. I've got the Aura 6 gyro flight assist on, bring it in gentle. Nice to have greased that landing, because it just skidded, good 10-foot skid as she landed. That was nice. Glad I could lay a nice one down in front of Mike and not embarrass myself a second time.
He was going to give you a bunch of grief for it anyway.
Either way.
Either way. That's what I like about Mike. And he brought his down, and then so we'd finished up the jumble. And it turns out the firewall had literally come out, like the center of it, where the screws are attached.
Yeah, the wood came out with the screws.
With the screws. And what it turned out, and I was thinking about it, I'm like, why would that have happened? I'm like, oh, right, because, there was an accident where it basically nosed in, so the whole plane slammed down on top of the motor. Of course, if something's going to give, it's going to be the thing. But when I was rebuilding it, I didn't feel any play in the firewall. So I didn't really think to like test it a lot either, though.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I just like, oh, thing's intact, sweet, we're ready to go. But what apparently happened, there was some cracks in the wood in the plywood firewall that were minor, but you know, under the stresses I was putting it under for some of the maneuvers I was doing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's pretty natural. Like, so I was whipping the plane around about the firewall and trying to get the motor to move, and of course any spinning thing trying to move, change orientation is not going to want to do that. So
Yeah, I guess gyroscopic forces and all.
gyroscopic forces say no until you've got a
And you just
firewall that
eventually wrench that fire. Yeah.
Yeah, you don't know what.
And there's pretty much a circular hole right in the middle of that firewall where you just pulled right out.
Yep. And then, so that's what happened. And so that's a really easy fix because there's no damage to the plane coming down. So that's a simple. It'll be a pain in the butt to get to. Really, but
Yeah, because you glued the.
glue the firewall on and in. But that'll
But that's what you do. But then you also glued the doublers that go in front of the firewall.
Yeah. But those are easy. You kind of chip them out and then you pull out the firewall.
I don't envy you.
No, it'll be a pain in the butt for a minute or three, and then it'll be repaired, and I'll be happy. Yeah, it'll be fun.
You could just glue another firewall in there.
That's what I'm gonna do.
No, like don't even dig the old one out.
Gosh, yeah. Oh my God, yeah, I suppose I could.
Just do it in true noob fashion.
Right? Jeez. Now you gotta be thinking, maybe that's a good idea. That's not a good idea. For the record, that's probably not the best idea.
But it's not that bad of an idea.
That bad of an idea, but it's probably not the best idea. Oh my God. And it really was. And Mike had, when he landed, I was like, oh, everybody's good and all that stuff. And he's like, man, that was so much fun. I haven't giggled like that in a while.
We were all having a blast up there.
It was so much fun. It was so much fun to do that together. And I can't wait to have, when Amy gets trained up on how to fly a little bit more comfortably, like I can't wait for her because she's going to have a Wonder that she's going to want to fly with us. And that's going to be a lot of fun.
Well, you're just going to be able to go fly with her.
Yes.
Like you'll have a flying buddy.
I know. That'll be a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to that.
So let's take a moment and like really, guys, thank y'all for picking the Wonder, those that participated in that. Thank y'all for that. Thank y'all for the enthusiasm that y'all have had about this. Then Muttley sending, the motors for the Giant, but Dan offering to do the special variant
and Tony with the
decals.
And even
and beta building it.
One through him or whatever, but the fact that anybody can print out those decals, which I'm worried about because everybody's going to have, and that's not true, but everybody's going to have those decals if they build one, which means that they come to Flight Fest with their version of it. And they're like, whoa, I want to go on the Wonder Jumble. Like,
it's going to be chaos.
There's going to be so many of the same darn. It's going to be fun. Honestly, it's going to be a blast. I'm really going to, even just seeing the 3 in the air, it has such a commanding look.
Yes.
I'm really excited to see a bunch. And ours were similar, but they weren't the same. And it was enough.
It was enough.
So,
and you should be watching your plane exclusively.
What? No. I was looking at where your planes were half the time.
Well, that's what you should have a spotter for.
No, whatever. We're fine. No, I would dart my eyes across. But I knew where the trajectory
You're comfortable enough with your plane.
Yeah. Yeah.
Once you're comfortable, yeah. But what we're getting at, and you and I were talking about it earlier before, and that's part of the reason I was like, let's just go ahead and get the mics on and get recording. Was we were talking about how much we appreciate you guys being enthusiastic about this, being enthusiastic about the Wonder on the front end, Dan getting involved and making a special variant, Tony doing the livery and the beta building, and then just all the energy that has come up.
Yeah.
Like, the Spitfire was fun the previous year, but there's a whole nother level of energy behind this thing
it's not just our community, but it's the flight test community. And not everybody in it, but there's a lot of people who love the Wonder. They love the Wonder from when it was a balsa plane, right? And it is still a balsa plane, but like they love their balsa plane version, right? And those who are like, oh, there's a foam version, that's great. I'm going to build one of those too. There's a lot more energy around it than I expected, and it's really
encouraging.
Yeah, that's the word. It's really encouraging, and I'm just, again, like Joe said, a big thanks to everybody. And honestly, like just having been on the other week really inspired me, like, I got to get this done.
Yeah.
Not just because, we're both in the crunch. Oh my gosh, we got to get this done. But I'm like, I think I can get this first one done. And if I get the first one done,
the second one's going to go
I
faster.
can the second, then I know all the things work. So there's no like, geez, I hope this works. There's I know this works. Or this worked, and I think this is way I can make it better. So I'm going to do that in the second one as we build it. So it's the way it should be, like putting in the servos when you build the wing, not after.
Not cutting a hatch.
Right. Oh my God. Well, I mean, the hatch isn't a bad idea.
It works.
You need it, but like cutting the holes in the former so that you can thread the wire through. Putting in LEDs.
That was a process.
Right? That was actually pretty cool. That was a lot of fun. I had the idea of taping an X-Acto knife to an arrow shaft.
And sticking it down.
Sticking it and cutting holes and progressively moving them through the fuse, cutting
through the wing, through the formers of the wing.
This little, like, 3 foot long stick, and then moved it back and forth, just cutting small holes so I could pull the wires back through. Anyway, that was so much fun. But yeah, no, having Ben kind of have the same energy and going through the same kind of, oh boy, I wonder, I might have to redesign this. This isn't working. Oh, this weight is more than I thought. I'm going to have to make up for it here. I wonder if I could, he's going through the same questions and a lot of the same design concerns. Mm-hmm. Right? Because it's the same idea. When you start building bigger, his is a different scale, but it's the same idea. And so having that, and he's been on our community
since that interview,
since the interview, and it's really been cool to kind of share that experience. We're both building ridiculous stuff. It's nice, and so that's been really encouraging, and I'm excited to get the second one together. You'll be able to tell Joe's from mine as we fly. We're going to, I think the plan is, as much as I want to put the Wonders in combat all the time, like, because I'm confident nobody will take it down. However...
You're confident, I'm not.
Well, that might be false bravado, but... but my thought is where there's going to be Wonder Jumbles at,
1 to 1:30.
1 to 1:30.
Thursday, Friday, Saturday.
And so right after that is a combat and Saturday. So after that last Wonder Jumble, and there'll be prizes for, we'll have to figure out what we want to do, but basically there'll be one prize each Wonder Jumble to whoever wins whatever it is. And it'll probably be like at the end we're going to have target, and whoever comes closest to that target wins the Wonder Jumble.
That's not bad.
Unless something really awesome happens, like where you're just like, no, whoever that was, they need to get a prize. So there's something for those three, and then we'll put those two Wonder Jumpers.
And we need to reach out to see if they want their name attached. But basically, somebody was awesome enough to pick up a few kits and have them sent over.
Right.
Some of the Wonder speed build kits.
Yeah. So especially if you're in the Wonder Jumble and you bust your Wonder, trying something pretty awesome and entertain everybody.
That might be the qualification for winning that round,
I don't know. We'll have to, you and I will continue to discuss what we're thinking, but...
so somebody was very
generous.
Very generous to have picked up a few extra speed build kits and sent them over so that they could be used in that manner, and that was awesome. And that's just another example of you guys.
That's the energy.
Like,
that's the energy that everybody's pouring into this.
And we wouldn't be doing, like, we'd be excited about this, but like you guys, the energy y'all are having, the excitement y'all show, it's just further energizing us. You definitely wouldn't have gone for a 300% if there hadn't already been a little bit of interest in the community about this being a thing.
Right. I think I came up with the idea of the 300 just because there was a lot of support behind the idea, and I'm like, wow, I didn't expect this kind of support. This would be pretty cool. And we'd already talked, like, right after Flight Fest last year, like, we need to put big builds in the air, like. And I don't think I'm the only one thinking that either, like us. Like, there wasn't a lot of giant builds in the combat, so like I want to have more of those. And the only way to have more is you got to lead by example, right? So. And
it's looking like there's going to be a few bigger builds this year. I mean, so last year I know
Ben's
Flight
got one that he's bringing for combats like that.
I know Flight Test deemed last year of the Giants, and as far as their years have gone, there was a lot of Giants last year, but I think
we're combat Giants.
Right, so we've got Ben's building one, we'll have ours in the final one. Muttley's going to have something. Oh yeah, we'll have the two.
Yeah, and we're going to be trying to put ours in the night flying too.
We hadn't even talked about putting the LEDs in there yet.
Getting LEDs in there so that even if it's just one of them, so that way we can fly one at night and you can see the big ones flying around. But yeah, it's so exciting. It's so exciting. The energy, the support, the community has really been inspiring, and we thank everybody. And again, I could just gush for like 20 minutes. So.
Oh, I could, and it's we may cut this bit out, but you and I talked in the beginning when we were starting this whole thing up.
Yeah. What's our focus?
Well, what's our focus? But more importantly, like, okay, as we go with this thing, how do we define if we're doing okay, and when do we decide if we want to keep going, or
what is success?
And you and I pretty much agreed, so long as there was just a couple people that would listen in and got benefit out of the podcast, that we would keep going.
Yeah.
And there's quite a few more than just a few people listening.
Yeah.
But when we started out, like this, we could not have foreseen this. And it's awesome. And it's you guys. So thank y'all for that. And I know this is just kind of a weird, all over the place conversation, but
no, this episode is going to be called The Debrief. That's what it's going to be. But this is what...
Yeah, because this is us sitting on your back porch just debriefing after a wonderful day of building and hanging and flying. And
that's the thing is, like, we've done that at other times where I came down and we got to hang out and we stopped at, I was staying over that night and we just sit on the front porch or wherever the heck we were sitting and just talking about the fun that we had and what would be really cool to do next time, and hey, what happened to that thing? I heard a whop. What was going on over there? Like, oh, that was here, take a look, and then it just. But I suspect if you get a chance to fly with somebody in your area, this is the kind of conversations you're going to have. It's natural. It's inevitable. You might have them at the field. You might have them with the people you fly with at the field, right? Maybe you are lucky enough where you're like Joe and I, we hang out normally, and we also go flying. Yeah. And sometimes we go hang out together to go flying, like today, like this weekend.
And sometimes we fly together. Yeah, but sometimes we fly together by, I'm going to go do a quick flight. I throw my Bluetooth in. I call Matt as I'm getting ready to throw the plane in the air.
Yeah.
Hey Matt, you're here with me while I'm flying.
Yeah, which is really cool. That's a lot of fun. And honestly, in some ways, I almost wish we had been able to stream to the Discord what we were doing today. But we had stuff. We got to get it done.
My phone was on 4% battery.
Okay, yeah, that's right.
Because I didn't bring my charger in last night.
So no, it ended up working out fine. That's not a complaint. It's more just it would have been even cooler.
We'll have to do that.
The next extra phone where it's like, oh, cool.
Yeah, here's the next time you and I get together like this to just get together and fly and do something, we're going to have to
make a post and say, hey, in a couple hours we're gonna go out to the flying field, and we're gonna have you guys come join us if you want.
Yeah.
You know, and start in one of the chat channels or something like that. Yeah, it's a good idea. So, where do we go from here, right? I'm going to make it pretty. Joe and I talked about how we're going to do that. Joe and I are going to be building tomorrow, and hopefully by the time he leaves, we should have a wing pretty close, if not all the way.
Both wings,
Both
ideally.
wings done, because again, it'll go together really quick, and then we'll have a fuse. Maybe the outside box, maybe not the inside.
And you want to have the LEDs run through the wings.
Right, so that the wires are at least coming out so we can connect them.
Right.
And then that's what I want to have when we leave on Sunday, which means by the end of the week, we'll have 2 Noob Wonders ready to go. They may not look entirely pretty yet, but they'll be close.
Mm.
And then the project will be done, except going to Flight Fest and enjoying it, which will be easy to do. We're going to be busy.
Yeah, we're going to be...
I'm really looking forward to it, but we're going to be busy.
Yeah, we're going to have... So there's the 3 Wonder Jumbo fly-ins.
Mm-hmm.
There's... You and I are both assisting at least once with the Bloody Baron build.
Right.
That Dan is doing.
Right, and we're volunteering.
We're volunteering, so we'll have at least 2 volunteer shifts, probably.
Right. If the Bloody Baron build is not part of the volunteering, I don't think it is.
I don't think so.
I don't really care if it is or not.
Yeah.
I'd rather.
I let Eddie know that we were going to be assisting with at least one of those builds.
Yeah, I heard something about that, which is great. So we're in good shape for that.
And for those who don't know, Eddie is Eddie Black. He heads up the volunteers for Flight Fest.
He has for the last couple of years.
Yeah, so.
Which is awesome.
And he's a great, approachable guy. Like,
He's awesome.
yeah, he's busy, but if you approach him, like, he's a fantastic guy.
Yeah. And I think last little bit, I don't know. Stuff in the community. I know a lot of people are starting to pull together or sweat their builds that they're trying to get ready for Flight Fest. I know Mike was like, oh, I don't know, like, I'm sweating. I don't think I can make it. I mean, I should, but I also should stay home and build like you guys are doing. And I'm like, oh, dude, either way you do it, I get it. It's cool that he could come out. Big thanks to him again. But, yeah, there's a lot of really cool builds. I know Muttley he's building an arsenal of stuff.
Yeah.
Big, giant planes and missiles and a SAM site, I think there's a whole thing going on.
Oh, wow.
He's really outdoing himself from last year. And I thought the 200% Betty bomber and what else? And the flying missile attached to the Telemaster and like a couple other things they did. You're like, what in the world? Like, that's crazy. I'm so excited. I got to know him better from the previous years. And so I'm really looking forward to seeing him again and spending some time.
And then...
But he's not the only one building some really amazing stuff from the community. I'm watching, and there's a lot of people who are doing some great building and putting together some good projects and sharing some great information and supporting each other. So thank you, community, for doing all those things and making what we tried to build is a place to just enjoy the hobby. So.
Yeah, it's... Oh, I'll let you mess with that again. I'm going to have to, like, CA glue that thing. Because it shouldn't give. It's supposed to be rigid.
Yeah.
I'll get some...
There's probably a little bit of it that came off. Good.
Yeah, I'll have to do something with it. Or I'll just have to order in some clips. I can't imagine they're terribly expensive.
Okay, so...
Yeah, and the community builds... Well, you see, Obi built a...
Yes.
Obi, so Ben's son.
Ben's son built a 200%-ish Wonder.
Ballpark, yeah, with leftover parts from Ben's big build. And that looks great.
Yeah, that looks like fun. And it seems like he's coming out to Flight Fest, and we'll be flying that. So look for something that's got yellow and red and tape all over a big white slab of Wonder.
Yep.
It looks pretty cool.
Yeah,
so congratulations to Obi.
Congratulations to Obi, yeah. And he flew it.
Yeah, he's got it in the air. So it's official. it's going, and he's flying it. So I'm really excited. I'm looking forward to meeting him in person and of us kind of sharing the news stories. It's good. It's the Wonder stories. So yeah, that's good. I'm looking forward to meeting everybody again. We need to have an eyeball for Mike. I'm wondering if Mike and Pat are coming. Hey, Mike and Pat, if you're listening, tell
Like
us
they
if you're
listen
going.
to us.
They might.
Okay, yeah.
They're not building a podcast.
Yes, yeah, they're not doing it right
They
now.
don't put their podcast out. So I know they've been paid. They have been going to Flight Fest. They love going there because that's where the family away from family is.
Yeah, they just hadn't been for a few years now.
Well, past couple of years have been
Crazy,
hard for
yeah.
most people.
Well, Mike and Pat, we hope you're going. If you are,
Let us know so we can come out and make sure to see you.
yeah, you dig far enough back through Facebook, you'll probably still see that Facebook message chain we had, Facebook Messenger.
And if you haven't listened to the episode where there are guests, go listen to it. It's hilarious.
Those guys are great, yeah.
Those guys are the best. Well, good. Is there anything else we're missing?
I mean,
The debrief, like
yeah, because we don't really have a main topic other than this today. We're not doing a history segment. I guess we can talk about some things coming up. So when we go to Flight Fest, we'll have our spot, and Muttley's supposed to be setting up behind us, so we can kind of like have a joint campsite area. You're getting flags made, so we can throw a flag up.
I meant to ask my friend where they're at. Now, she said that they should be done. If they're not done by now, they'll be done early next week or so.
Yeah, no, I mean, we still got time, but I say that because, we'll put in Discord where we are, our campsite number, but then we'll also put a flag up just to help identify our campsite, and come by and see us.
Please.
We may have a hard time finding us during the daytime, but
I know. You mentioned it, and we're like, oh, we're going to be really busy, and we will.
But definitely in the
stop us and
evening,
say,
like
hey.
once the nighttime comes around, like we'll definitely be back at camp. Just keep an eye out for us and come, swing by and see us, please. I know it's a little pretentious to be like, yeah, come by and see us, not us go see you, but we'll serve as a central point. Swing through if you get a chance and come say hey. We'd love to meet you, and pull up a chair. Bring a chair with you, sit down, we'll hang and chat. You got your Noob shirt, your Noob Wonder shirt. Amy got hers. I got mine on order. Due to shipping times, so this will go
Takes
in
a couple weeks.
Mine shipped yesterday. I'm expecting mine. Yeah, you might, if you want one for Flight Fest, you might be able to order one and get it in before.
I don't know what the shipping options were.
I don't
You
think
might
I
be able
saw
to get
any
it
ship
kinda
options.
fast, but I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't think they had any kind of expedited shipping.
If you hear this, and it's still like a week out, you better get on that order if you're thinking about it.
Yeah.
Oh, was it Jesse ordered a mug? He's
Yeah,
like,
he
well,
did.
I didn't order a shirt, but I really enjoy this mug. I can't believe he's like, I'm here in spirit, buddy.
So when I put a little shoplifting together, I was like, you know what? Sure, a mug in case somebody wants a mug, and Jesse got a mug, so that's awesome. Yeah. So while we're at Flight Fest, please come by, see us. We'd love to meet you, see you, put some names or some faces to names, and even meet some new people.
And talk shop.
Yeah, just hang and talk.
Yeah, it'd be good.
There won't be any imposing. When Matt and I are ready for bed, we're gonna say we're ready for bed.
Yeah.
And then I guess other things. What else would we? So no more build nights coming up, I don't think.
Are you kidding me? I'm building every night.
Yeah, so hop in.
Just have an eye out because I've got a bunch of things that I would still, if I can pull it off, after the Noob Wonders are built. I've scaled up the F-22 by Griff Flyer, so that it'll fit like a 64, 70 millimeter EDF, which means it should have a better thrust to weight ratio.
Okay.
I really love what he put together, and I want to give the bigger version a try, because I think that's going to be a lot of fun. And there's a couple other builds I wanted to finish up, one of which has to do with one of the guests I'm hoping we can get on. And it's a build that I've had on my table forever. It was the prime candidate for Tony's challenge. The finish your old build challenge. And I didn't follow up on that one, and I should have. That would have been even better. But we'll talk about it if we can get that guest on, and I think it'll be probably pretty soon. You'll hear an earful about the project he was working on and the company that we're both referencing, and we'll talk about some of the other things. It has to do with 3D printing, so it'll be pretty exciting. It will be a little different than we usually talk about.
So I know something else to kind of bring up real quick, and that's it keeps sliding down on you.
Yeah, well.
That's fine.
Yeah.
So the other thing, I lost my train of thought for half a second. We were talking about that, and
a big congratulations to Tony on an article with his little. There's a couple different things going on where the AMA is recognizing some of the people that we know.
Yep. I'm gonna CA glue that thing, to fix that clip.
Let's use this. You know what I'm gonna do?
Oh yeah, a few more minutes. That'll do too.
Sorry about the scratchy. Edit out.
That's why I got mine as low as I do, so my beard's not rubbing up against it.
That's kind of where and mine is the bushy beard right now, but anyway, go ahead. Okay,
welcome back to the Aviation RC Noob podcast.
All right, I hope you enjoyed the sponsor advertisements. We don't have any sponsor advertisements.
No, but I mean, in some ways, we got a couple sponsors.
Yeah, we do.
And we got Patreons.
If you like the content we do and you'd like to see us continue to do more stuff in the avenues we've been doing, or join the Patrons.
Yep.
And support us with a couple dollars or whatever you see fit, and help us keep going.
Yep. Patreon.com/aviationrcnoob. God, it keeps slipping my mind, but the moment I get into it, so once Flight Fest is done, and we'll have an episode that we do while we're at Flight Fest, just like we did last year. But we've had the thought to maybe swing back to earlier topics, maybe like go through our earlier episodes again when we talked about servos and motors and receivers and transmitters and all that.
Do a deeper dive.
Do some deeper dives, and without being too intimidating, but I showed Matt a screenshot where
I don't
where I sort of put together some notes and outlines and no pictures, just all but it was like crazy number of pages on servos. So that would have to be like a multi-part, like several episodes where we just kind of take a chunk.
I have a feeling like not all that. I think a lot of that can be distilled down. I'm guessing.
Yeah,
but
I mean, I didn't read through it all.
20 pages, it'd still be obscene.
Yeah. So my question would be, and to a veteran maybe who was here to have listened to the motor episode from way back.
Episode 5. One of our best performing episodes.
For whatever reason. I think a lot of people listen to the first hour and go, nope, I'm done. But
I know I do.
but we're thinking about maybe revisiting some of those now that we've got 2 more years on us from when we first started all that, and we have more experience, and we'll take the time to do some better research on the topics, and it might be where we
get guests.
Or get guests to talk about
in those regions that can actually get into the deeper parts of that.
But so take the servo situation. There's tons of notes there that I've generated, so that might be a multi-episode thing where we kind of take a chunk of the notes at a time, and servos might cover 3 episodes, maybe only 2, but maybe 3 episodes. Would that be diving too deep? Would that lose the interest of the same topic, just a different chunk of it?
Right. Or have like a tooltip, but it's not a tooltip. It's the servo nugget of the week, and you talk about the little thing you didn't know about servos, but I'm about to tell you, or motors, or ESCs, or all of those things maybe. But I don't know. We'll figure that out. But that's a good idea. I mean, it is curious to hear like which ones would you like the deeper dive of, and does that sound interesting to kind of take a real deep dive and kind of chunk it out across some episodes.
So, if you got an opinion on that, leave your thoughts. Like, you can leave a comment on the Discord. The webpage has a contact us form. You can email us, aviationrcnoob@gmail.com.
You could put your comment in a box of Snickerdoodle cookies and send it to, I suppose we're not doing that, huh?
I mean, I'd take a bag of Reese's, but just hide your comment somewhere down in there and send it.
Yeah, right. We'll get to them eventually. Like that same night. Anyway.
But yeah, if you got an opinion on that, let us know, and do let us know, because if we always see one or two and people are like, yeah, that'd be cool. Those are the people that respond. We're like, all right, let's do this thing. Yeah. But we also want to stay informative, but also interesting. We don't want to get boring on it, so
we want to still be helpful. I mean, as we get deeper into we're deeper into our journey in the hobby. I know some of you are brand new, and some of you have been with us since the beginning, and you're growing in the hobby like us.
Yeah, so maybe that is an interesting idea, because if you've been in it long enough, then it's like, okay, yeah, let's.
I want to know more. I do understand how they work, but I'd really like to know how they work.
Yeah.
I mean, I've taken them apart. I understand how servos function, but what makes a good servo, like a top-end servo? What makes a smaller servo?
Oh, no, I didn't even.
How many electronics are in there? We'll get into that.
Yeah, I didn't generate all that, but I could.
What? In those 41 pages, there's not that. Anyway, we won't get into that.
Yeah, it talks about other things, but yeah.
Well, we'll get there.
All right, I think we've rambled and gone around and beat around all kinds of different angles enough. It's weird not doing it without the notes page in front of us. We're just kind of winging it.
Oh yeah, there's no guidance here. This is a off the cuff kind of just. It's more like, I don't know, when you come home from the field, what do you talk about?
And like you said, this episode will be called Debrief, so
Debrief.
I like it. And that's if this goes live, because we don't know what the audio quality is going to be like yet.
It'll be awful.
Yeah. In which case, we'll be sitting down Tuesday night and recording
but no
again.
apologies. It's what it is. No,
I'm sorry.
Dang it, Joe. I said no apologies. No, I think it's about time to probably cut this off and go get a celebratory gelato.
Sounds like a good idea. You want to close out, or do you want me to do it?
I'll close it out as best I can, and maybe I got a hole or 6, and you can help fill it.
Okay.
If you have any comments or questions and you'd like to reach out to Joe or I, you can reach Joe at aviationrcnoob.com, or you can reach me at Matthew at aviationrcnoob.com, or you can reach both of us at the same time at aviationrcnoob@gmail.com. You can go to our website, which is www.aviationrcnoob.com, or you can go out to, you can listen to our podcast. You can subscribe to our podcast through that. You can listen to it wherever good podcasts are sold, because we're one of those good podcasts. Really, just go to your podcast aggregator and find us, Aviation RC Noob, and we're in there somewhere. We've got the orange and blue logo.
But if they're listening, they've already found us.
Maybe somebody sent them a weird thing.
What, a short of just the outro?
Maybe they're on the dark web and all they see is little snippets. There's no connections. I mean, it could be anything, Joe.
Could be anything.
Maybe they're listening to a friend that's like, oh, what? This is great. What is this? I can't show you. It's mine. We can't have it. But we're trying to help them so they can find it. Honestly, if there's...
To you, random citizen, who's listening to your friend's podcast right. in his other earphone.
Want to hear it, but they're selfish and they don't want to. Anyway, no, you can find it in wherever you get your podcast from. We're on Apple iTunes and Google Play. And
you're still on this.
I know I am. Anyway, 'cause I'm trying to remember one of the things I should be.
Well, you can't actually subscribe to the podcast through the website.
But we're there somewhere.
Well, we have a website.
We do.
But you can't subscribe to the podcast there.
No, but you can listen to it.
You can listen to it there.
And then find it where...
And see the extended show notes.
Exactly. Ooh, extended show notes. Okay, that being
Not
said...
that there's a ton, but...
No, there's not, but they're there.
There was a time, and I need to get back into it, where I was doing...
We still have year-long goals we have to meet. I got a lot of work to do. We are posting videos. If you want to see what we're doing, we're on the Aviation RC Noob YouTube channel. It's been there, but we're starting to post some of the videos where we go flying together, and the stuff on this project is going to be there. What else?
I don't know, this is the longest outro ever.
That's because I keep getting distracted, just like you did earlier, about the thing I wanted to say, and then I can't remember what the thing... Oh, if you want to help us spread the word, that's one of the easiest ways to help us. Tell somebody you know who you think might enjoy the podcast. Join our patrons if you value what we do. Otherwise, just be part of the amazing community and inspire us to inspire you, to inspire everybody to get in and keep going with this hobby.
And if you're not a member of the Discord, please, yeah, well, I say please, I don't want to beg, but join in.
Like we'll have a link in the show notes.
In the doobly-doo.
Right, thank you, Matt Coleman.
Love that guy.
I know.
The engineering guy is back.
What?
On YouTube.
Nice.
Bill Meyer or something. I forget his name, but the engineer guy, yeah.
You have to show me.
Yeah, we'll go in here in a bit and watch an episode, because I want to show you that engineering versus science episode he did.
Okay, yeah. All right, so I think that's it.
Yeah, we need to go ahead and get out of here. Guys, as always, thank you for tuning in and listening. We hope you've enjoyed listening to this conversation as much as Matthew and I have enjoyed having it.
Yeah, you know what? Coming off of a really amazing day, this is a good way to end it.
And if we are just scatterbrained and jittery, which we are, not if, we are, just know this, because it was an awesome day of three guys and a gal and two kids just being able to hang out and have a good time. We're going to go ahead and get out of here. We're going to catch y'all next time, but until then, bye-bye.
See you later. Good flying.